So how is it going, everyone? Welcome to the Invictus Racing League. We are here for round 4 of the PC tier. My name is Jakob. I am a new commentator for Invictus. I do want to just quickly give a quick shout out to Mr. MJ Coop and Yos for giving me an opportunity to represent these guys as a commentator for the PC side. As I said, I am quite new to Invictus, so it's going to take a little bit of getting used to, I must admit, but I am looking forward to starting this journey along the way with all of you guys as well. As I said, it is, I believe, the first stream for the PC side for Invictus. Unfortunately, they haven't had any commentators for the last 3 rounds, but I will be able to take you through the standings, and we may as well just dive straight into it right now for all of you guys. So, here are what the standings are looking like. You can see on your screens that you have got Scopefielder and Skyzy, both the Renault duo, who I both believe are in QVR, if I'm not mistaken. They look like they're absolutely storming the championship. Skyzy taking 2 wins, but Scopefielder, because he's been consistently on the podium, he is currently in the lead of the championship, literally by 2 points, where he's got 2 fastest laps at France and at Zandvoort. So those two are they've absolutely stormed the championship. Podium Cheetah is in P3 at the moment, only on 18 points, but he is also another one that has taken a podium. In fact, he's looking quite consistent through the last 3 rounds. The only problem is just him having that disqualification over at the Red Bull Ring, but I don't think that is going to sort of hamper him too much. In 4th, you can see you got Matty in the Haas. He is on 17 points, with Rashid Kasim in the Ferrari with 15 points. In 6th, you can see is Farmham for top 6 in the Alfa Romeo. He's on 13 points with Dre. Is it Dre Gio? I think I say his name. In the Alfa Tauri, who is on 12 points. Jamie Ryan in the Ferrari with 10 points. So Ferrari look like they are more than likely the closest contenders with the Renault guys, maybe even the Mercedes. Although you can see on screen that one of the Mercedes has unfortunately sort of retired from the league. But nonetheless, Podium Cheetah looks like he is doing well, contending just in the lone Mercedes. In P9, you can see is Biofreak in the Alpha Tauri, so another team that also looks like it's in pretty good contention. Then you've got the 2 Red Bulls sitting in P10 and P11 of MJ Coop and Yos. Both again another interesting one that we need to keep our eye out for. But yeah, they are very close on points, very consistent within the team, so just interesting to see throughout the season which of those Red Bulls are going to come out on top. Typhoon sitting in P12 in the Alfa Romeo, sitting on 4 points. I think that's Gaudio or Giordio, I don't know how you pronounce his name. He is sitting on 3 points. Fashion in 14th with 2 points. Crayon, who is actually a reserve, driving in the Williams. He is on the 1 point, and then you can see Mr. Stim or Plop, I don't know how you say his name. Hardcore, Mags, Bolon, Madshot, and Babo, also all on 0 points. And I will now also take you through the constructors' standings so you guys are made aware. As I said, Renault are absolutely blitzing through it. They are sitting on 80 points already. 55 points ahead of the Ferraris. They are sitting on 25 points. AlphaTauri with 21 points in 3rd. The Red Bulls, they're very close together on the standings, and so on the Mercedes. Well, one of the Mercedes, shall I say. But they are drew on points 4th and 5th in the constructors. In 6th, Alfa Romeo only 1 point behind. The same with Haas, actually only 2 points behind the Mercedes as well. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to come out on top of all of those teams. It looks apparent that the Renaults, unless something major happens to them, I believe it looks like the Renaults may even take the constructors by Monaco, but we'll wait and see throughout the season. In P8, you have got the 2 McLarens sitting on 5 points. In 9th is the Williams, the one actually picking up the point. The only point for the Williams is Crayon as the reserve. Then in 10th, it is the two pinky cars, I like to call them, the racing points. Unfortunately, not picking up a point yet, but maybe around China, it could be a bit of a different story. You never know. We'll have to wait and see. But I suppose we want to try and maybe get into the race, I suppose. I know a lot of you guys are also waiting for it. And looking at it, I know you guys can't see it as of yet, but looking at it, it's looking very dark and cloudy, which is very interesting. But as you can see on screen, Biofreak out at the moment on a set of the soft tyres. I know with this game it's a bit difficult to try and do like a medium to hard strategy or anything, so a lot of the strategies are either 1 stop or they can head towards a 2 stop. You can only see that there is 13 drivers here for this afternoon, but nonetheless, we will make it work, and hopefully we can look to have a good race. But Biofreak is going to be the first one on a lap. So what I'm going to do, and what I usually do, is I will shut up and I will just let you watch the man in the AlphaTauri just take us through a lap. So there you have it. That is the first lap on the board. You can see it is Biofreak who has done a 1 minute 30.4 as the first lap. We will now sort of move down to, but I'm just trying to see who it is that is going to be the next one up. Across the line, I believe it is going to be the AlphaTauri of Typhoon. So let's quickly go to him as he's just come across the line. It does a 31.9, also on a set of the softs. Not particularly, I don't think, where the Ozone lad would want to be, but nonetheless, I'm sure he will look to improve on that. The other AlphaTauri coming across the line, he's almost a second behind his teammate, unfortunately for him, but still sitting in P2 at the moment is still a good result for him. We have got someone in the chat, Mr. Lord Savitar, cheering on Skyzy. So, in fact, is Skyzy on a lap? No, he's actually in the pits as Scope Fielder. Apologies, did not manage to catch it, but he has just set the fastest lap at the moment. He has done a 30.0. Yos, he's on a lap. Mr. MG Coupe is on an outlap, just about to start a lap, but Jos apparently has gone purple sector 1, so we'll get on board with the Dutchman and see where he progresses throughout the lap. I'm going to actually just sit on board with Jos for you guys right now, as he's just making a way around the second set of S's. I know it's a bit of a tight and twisty one to get right, especially if you nail it. You can definitely gain at least maybe 1 to 2, well, I said 1.5 seconds at most, but if you do things like that, you're definitely not going to be gaining any time as Jos locks up into the beginning of Sector 3. Now just making his way around the long right-hander onto now the back straight, probably one of the longest straights in the calendar. Just getting a little bit of slipstream from Dre up ahead. At the moment, it doesn't look like it's going to be that good of a lap for Jos, although I could be completely wrong, and it just could be that my eyes are deceiving me. But there's a bit of a lock-up going into the very tight, twisty, tight chicane, hairpin, my apologies. But Jos now making his way up to the line. Is it in contention with the top 2 guys? It is into P3. It is only just a 10th up ahead of Dre. I'm sure the Dutchman is wanting to make an improvement on that lap. Farnham also just making his way along the line, has slotted himself into P6. Let's go on board. I was about to say let's go on board with Rashid, but he's actually just gone into the pits. Both of the Haas are just about to start their laps. Scope has also made his way into the pits. Podium Cheetah is on an outlap, so he's not going to be doing anything. You know what? We'll go on board with... who's on a lap at the moment? Both of the Haas cars are on laps, but is MJ Coupe on a lap? In fact, he's actually, I think, starting a lap because his ERS is quite high at the moment. Yeah, so he's only just starting a lap. So we'll sit on board with MJ and see how he fares on throughout the Shanghai International Circuit. Making his way up and around turn 1, trying to keep it as tight as he can towards the apex to get a nice early apex in towards turn 2 and turn 3. Try and keep it as far to the left as you possibly can. He does decide to take a little bit of a wider line to just get the best exit he possibly can, get more traction out of that corner. Apparently it was purple in sector 1. It is 10 seconds up on his time. I'm assuming he must have had a spin on that first lap that he did, but now making his way around the S section of the track. Again, I know it's a bit of a difficult one to get right. If you absolutely nail it, you gain a lot of time through there, but it does look like he's done that pretty nicely. And now making his way around the double left-hander, now up towards the beginning of sector 3 is the Brit. Is it still purple? It isn't, unfortunately, but he is 13 seconds up on his time, so I mean that's a good start. It is going to put him sort of around where Farnham will be towards the end of the lap, although it has a massive bit of oversteer. Like I was saying with when we were on board with Yoss, it's easy to lose it at that long right-hander, and that looks as if what MJ Coupe did, but he managed to save it well, admittedly. So he is carrying on with this lap from the looks of things. I don't think he's going to be coming into the pits. Massive lock up into the hairpin, the penultimate corner. Now, as Mr. MJ Coupe makes his way up towards the final corner, he does carry on with the lap. Now, coming up towards the line, is it in contention with any of those top guys? He does slot himself into P5, so the 2 Red Bulls, 3rd and 5th at the moment. Just seeing who else can we go on board. I think BioFreak is out on a outlap. Mr. Stim, or I still don't know how you say his name. I think it's Plowup. I'm not too sure, but I'll have to ask him after the race. Skyzy still hasn't yet to come out of the pits, however. So we will go on board with Podium Cheetah as he is making his way around the long right-hander. He does ease off a bit, so he makes sure he doesn't get that spin, as he will try and get a little bit of slipstream from Rashid in the Ferrari. Doesn't look as if it's actually worked out well in his favour, as he had to swerve quite a bit to the left. But now breaking down in towards the penultimate corner is Podium Cheetah. A little bit of oversteer off of the exit of the corner. Now making his way around to the final corner as he makes his way up towards the line does the Brit. Is it in contention game with the top 2? Only slots himself just behind MJ Coupe. So everyone bar the top 2 looking pretty close. The 2 Hasses do put their times in and do a 33.0 and a 33.7. Of course, I know they're wanting to improve on that as well. So we'll wait and see if those guys do end up improving on their times. In fact, I'm going to go on board with the only racing point that's in the race tonight. It is going to be Mr. Stim or Plowup, as he's making his way around the double left-handers, as you can see, and he has just unfortunately invalidated the laps. So he will not be carrying on with that lap. It was looking like it could be a decent lap. It does a 51.1 overall in the second sector, or sorry, throughout the first and second sector. So I think it was looked like it was going to be a good lap. Unfortunately for him, he's had to just back out of that. The Frenchman of Skyzy still has not yet to come out of the pits, and Rashid, the only other one as well, along with Stim, that have yet to make their to set a lap time, shall I say. I don't know if he's going to be going for another lap time. I'll keep an eye on the mini-map to see if he does, or if he just makes his way straight into the pits. I'm assuming he's going into the pits, which he does do. So into the pits goes Stim. And now just sitting on board with Rashid in the Ferrari as he makes his way down the back straight. He hasn't invalidated his lap. I know the last corner can be an easy one to invalidate your lap as well, but I can also see the Renault of Scopefielder coming into the pits. I was about to say he was about to make his way up to the line, but he didn't. He just went into the pits. So let's keep our eye out on the Ferrari as he's just making his way around the final corner now. This will be the first time on the board for him as he makes his way up to the line. He does slot himself into P5, just knocking down MJ in the Red Bull down into P6. The only 2 guys to still yet to set a lap, as I said, Stim and Skyzy. I think Skyzy's probably just going to wait until the very end of the session to possibly come out and do a lap time. But again, we shall wait and see how this qualifying session does end. It's looking like there is only 6 minutes left of the session. It's looking like it's a very, very overcast session as well. So whether, no pun intended, there will be any rain or anything like that, we'll wait and see. But Typhoon is just making his way around to the final corner now to try and improve on the 31.9. I think it would have been an improvement, but went wide at the exit of the final corner. It would have put him into P6, unfortunately for him, but I suppose that's just the way it does tend to go. Finally, we're on board with the other Alfa Romeo as he's just made the exit of Sector 1. He is almost a 10th up on his time as we are just watching him now go through the S section of the track. and we'll see if he ends up maybe getting an improvement on his qualifying time, maybe out qualifying his teammate. I know at the moment they are split by a second, so 3rd to 8th is looking very close. Unfortunately for Farnham, Matty and Mags, I know they're more than likely wanting to try and improve on their time, and that's exactly what Farnham is doing. He is 4 tenths up on his time at the moment, so he could, if he has a good sector 3, best his teammate in this qualifying session. You never know. You never know. The two Hasses, one is out on an outlap at the moment. Mags sitting in P11 on a 33.7. Again, I know he is wanting to improve that, and same with Matty with his 33.0. In case you guys don't know the point system in Invictus as well, you have got, if you take the win, you will end up with 15 points. If you take second, it's 12. Third is 10 points. Fourth is 8. Fifth is 6 points. 6th is 5 points, it's a bit of a tongue twister. 7th is 4th, 8th is 3 points, 9th is 2 points, and 10th you do only just get the 1 point, and of course you also get the elusive 1 point if you get the fastest lap, if you were within the top 10 as well. As I said, I think that's the only reason why I believe Scopefielder is in the lead of the championship. He has taken the 2 fastest laps at the 1st and the 3rd round. In comparison to Skyzy, where Skyzy has actually taken 2 wins, but I think it was also a... What did he take? I think it was a 4th place with the fastest lap, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have another double check on that one, but if my maths add up correctly, that is what he did. I think he took 4th place with the fastest lap, but Scopefielder taking 2 second places with the fastest lap. And also a win, which is what is making him lead in the championship. And you've got one Renault up one front, well, up 1 point on the field, and you've got the other Renault all the way at the bottom of the field. So Skyzy, I'm sure we'll see him come out and do a lap very shortly. And same with Pro Up, I know he's just now out on a outlap, so we'll keep our eye out on him. I'm going to go on board with, I believe Matty could potentially be the next one across the line, or it might be MJ. Have a look. It is going to be MJ, but he is currently a 10th down on his time. However, again, a lot of these sectors, it's so easy to make it up towards the end, as he does brake very heavy for the hairpin, goes very wide at the apex of that hairpin, but sometimes that could be a good thing because it can give you much better traction coming out of that out of that penultimate corner. Now around the final corner and up towards the line it is an improvement, and he's actually gone up ahead of his teammate. He does a 31.0, slotting himself up into P3. Biofreak, as you just seen in the background, he is just starting his 1st lap now. I'm going to go on board with the current pole sitter, as he is just making his way up towards the final corner now. He apparently was 2 thousandths of a second down on his time, but he could improve and be the first one in the 29s. He is, and does a 29.8. Does the Swedish man in Renault. Now, who else have we got that are currently on laps? Dre, I believe, is just making his way up towards the line now. He actually slots himself into P3 up ahead of the 2 in the sister team of the Red Bull. Man in the AlphaTauri, best in those guys, just like Gasly did at the weekend. But Biofreak is the one to maybe watch out for and see where he ends up finishing, if he can finish within the top 3, or maybe even try and best one of the Renaults. Skyzy doesn't look as if he's actually going to be going out, so he's going to be starting towards the back end of the grid. So he isn't going to be setting a time in the session. I think it's too late to go out and set a time now. Unless he literally, I see him pulling out of his box right now, but I don't think he is going to have enough time. Mags, I believe, has just made his way out of the pits, so he may have just enough time to make his way up towards the end of qualifying, and at least get a better lap than what he did originally. So he's going to try and look to best at 33.7, but on board with Mr. Stim, or Plow Up, again, I don't know how to say his name, I'm just still going to call him Stim because that's how I know him as. He is making his way around the S section or portion of the track at the moment. His 1st lap, it was looking like it was going to be a decent lap, just unfortunate where he did invalidate, which was actually coming up to this corner right now. He's done the exact same thing, unfortunately invalidated on that lap. He chugs it into 0 ERS. He will have time to go out and do another lap. However, he's going to need to manage his tyres ever so, well, a lot more than what he would have done originally if he had, well, yeah, if he'd done what he did originally and, well, going on like a fresh set of soft tyres. So it's going to be tough for him to do the soft to the hard strategy, which, by the way, in case you guys didn't know, that is the strategy for China, soft to hard, or you can do soft, medium, soft. Or if you're starting on the mediums, you can just do the medium to hard. I believe that is probably the quickest strategy to go on. But here we go, Stim making his way up to the final corner now, making his way up to the line, shall I say, and he is going to be trying to go for a second lap. Podium cheater, I did also just realise he's jumped up into P7, so I don't know if that's his only lap. I believe he's actually going for another fast lap, so we'll keep our eye out on the Mercedes, as I've actually also just realised Rashid jumping up ahead of the two Red Bulls as well. I don't know when that had happened, but I suppose it happened. But we're watching on board with Farnham as he's just going to make his way up towards the line. I don't know if an AI has taken over or not, because I know it's the end of qualifying as Farnham actually goes into the pit. So I'm going to go on board with the other Alfa Romeo, as unfortunately Farnham not able to out-qualify his teammate on this occasion either. But Typhoon, he is on a fast lap at the moment, making his way down the back straight up towards the DRS, as I believe I did catch a bit of an eye where it said it was purple in Sector 2. However, I know in this game it always says it's purple in Sector 2, when in reality it isn't, just lies. But Typhoon making his way around the penultimate corner of the hairpin, taking as much curve as he possibly could for the entry into it, and now making his way around the final corner does Typhoon, and making his way up towards the line. What time is he going to do? He does go up ahead of Podium Cheetah, does a 31.3, so not a bad lap time from him at all. Dre didn't manage to get another time in, but Jos now making his way up towards the line. He does actually best his teammate in qualifying as well. Pro-up now making his way up towards the line. He didn't invalidate this time. He puts it into P7, doing a 31.3. But Podium Cheetah does improve on that lap and actually slot himself up into P3, doing a 30.7. And I believe Mags is the only one left to come across the line to see if he does an improvement on that 33.7. He did manage to take that curve perfectly fine, but it's no improvement, so he is starting down in P12. And well, as I said, we're stuck in a bit of a banana sandwich, as someone in another league I know likes to have, which is a bit odd, but I guess it is what it is. Scope up at one end of the field, Skyzy down the other end of the field. I think he's probably going to try and do a bit of a last to first challenge, try and show off to the viewers, but Scope does slot it on pole with Biofreak in P2. Again, we'll see if he does manage to challenge Scope off of the line. He does look very quick as well. Podium Cheetah in P3 with Dre in P4, Rashid in P5. The top four only are literally split by a second, so a lot of gaps within the PC. Excuse me, within the PC side. Hopefully, we'll see if that does improve. But Rashid, as I said, in P5 in the Ferrari with Yost in 6th. Those guys are actually relatively close. Third down to 6th, or to 7th even, all split by 3/10, so very close between those guys. As said, MJ Coop in P7 doing a 31.0. In 8th is Plow-Up, managing to get that final lap done in the end. Typhoon in P9 with Matty rounding out that top 10. Farnham gets his free choice of tyres, the same with Mags and Skyzy, who did not set a lap. We are just waiting for the rest of the time to run out, or Matty to retire, and then we can get this race underway. So as I said, there you go. Scope taking pole position. In fact, Max actually got a 5 grid place penalty. I'm not too sure where he picked that up, so he's going to be starting at the back of the grid. So Skyzy will get promoted to P12. But Biofreak, as I said, sitting in P2 with Podium Cheetah in 3rd, Dre in 4th with Rashid in 5th, Yoss in 6th, MJ in 7th, Blow Up in 8th, Typhoon in 9th, and Matty in 10th, Farnham in P11. Skyzy will get promoted to P12 with Max having a 5 grid place penalty, so he will start at the back of the grid. Again, we'll wait and see. I'm hoping we're going to be having a good solid race with all of these guys. Again, as I said, we'll wait and see. Hopefully, Biofreak does actually challenge Scope, as is actually rain. Was not expecting any sort of rain coming, so I'm looking forward to this. Maybe it could be the case that Bio could be a bit better than Scope in the rain. Or it could be vice versa, and Scope could just absolutely blitz the field. Skyzy, I know he can be pretty decent in the rain as well. I know he prefers no rain, but even with the rain, he's still pretty good. As If I'm not mistaken, I think Skyzy's lagged out of the session. Because I can't see his name anywhere. Let me just see if he has said anything in Discord. Bear with me. Oh, so a little bit of information from Typhoon. Apparently, it's actually going to be dry tyres in the rain. So the rain isn't hard enough for it to go onto wet tyres. So they will be on slick tyres. So it's going to be a bit of a greasy track. Oh, I do love it when it happens like this. I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it. There we go. So we are going to be having a formation lap about to go on. So let's have a look and see what the guys outside of the top 10 are going to be on. See if they are on a set of mediums. I believe the guys outside of the top 10 will be on mediums. Or they might have tried and gone for a bit of a bold strategy and actually gone on a set of the intermediates, potentially. In fact, no. Farnham is the only one outside of the top 10 going on a set of the mediums, which is a bit strange to myself, unless the rain does decide to pick up, in which case Skyzy and Mags could be in for a good position. But, of course, everyone inside the top 10 are on a set of the softs. Farnham, the only outlier on a set of the mediums. As I said, the rain is looking like it's just quite stable at the moment. With these guys on the formation lap, they get to sort of experience if the rain is going to be heavier or if it's still going to remain as dry or still remain as what it is at the moment, and those guys still being still having to go on a set of slick tires. But Scope, the Swedish man, leading the way at the moment. As I said, he's at one end of the grid. The other Renault of Skyzy, the Frenchman, down in P12. Biofreak is in P2 with, in fact, only Mercedes on the grid, splitting the two AlphaTauris. Dre in P4. With Rashid in fifth. The two Red Bulls, again, they're close together on the standings, are close together on the track. They are P6 and P7. The lone Racing Point in P8. Typhoon, the first Alfa Romeo in P9 with Matty, the first Haas in P10. As I said, the other Alfa Romeo is on a alternate strategy in P11, on a set of the mediums in P12. As I said, you've got Skyzy, the Frenchman, in the Renault, I suppose representing his home team, I suppose. And then Mags is the final position. As I said, he had a 5 grid place penalty, so he will be starting down in P13. But now we just wait for all of these guys to make or come up towards the line, finish their formation lap. Scope just doing or just controlling the field at the moment. As you can see, all of those guys just sort of swerving in the background. See if I've got anybody else in the stream chat. Let's have a look. Got Bruno in the chat just saying go Skyzy. So we've also got someone else that's just that is promoting for Skyzy. But these guys are now making their way up towards the line, and we can get this race at the Shanghai International Circuit underway momentarily. So it says the 5 lights are on. Oh, they actually were this time. Usually it doesn't, but lights out and away we go. Scope getting a good start, and so does the Racing Point of Plow Up. He actually moves towards the inside, going past 1-2 cars already, but so does Skyzy, all the way from P12, all the way up now into P7, up to P5, into P4. From 12th on the grid, in one corner, Skyzy moves up 8 positions. I think that is the first time I've ever seen someone do that, although if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Skyzy's actually in his car, which is more than likely why he didn't set a lap time in qualifying. But Scope and Bio already moved up and got a very good start in comparison to everybody else. Podium Cheetah is in P3, Skyzy is in P4. In fact, he is in his car, so my mistake, he is actually racing, so he did make up those positions already. P5, you have got Dre as Plow Up, unfortunately, or Stim, has had a spin at the exit of turn 4, if I'm not mistaken. So unfortunate for a man in a Racing Point. I did see a bit of wing just go flying off there. I'm not too sure who that was from, but you can already see Scope already 1 second up ahead of BioFreak. BioFreak also 1 second up ahead of Podium Cheetah. And it looks like there's a Haas just trying to go for a bit of an audacious move in the back, but it is MJ Coupe who has picked up that wing damage. I think that was off of the back of his teammate, unfortunately. So probably a bit of team orders going on there for Helmut Marko after the race. But Skyzy, again, the biggest jumper, literally in lap 1, and now is about to move up yet another position as him and Podium Cheetah now trying to go side by side in towards the hairpin. Skyzy already getting the move done before the hairpin has even come, and already up into P3. He's going to be trying to chase down Scope as Plot once again having yet another spin at the long right-hander, and he is already 16 seconds behind as 3 cars make their way into the pits actually. Are they all going on a set of intermediates maybe? Because apparently DRS has been enabled, so I don't think it is, as there's a virtual safety car. I don't know what there's a virtual safety car for. Everyone's still going. But the AlphaTauris have had to double stack it. And it is intermediate weather. So BioFreak, Dre, Rashid, Yos, Podium Cheetah, all already in the pits for a set of intermediates. And Mags picking up a 5-second penalty for a collision. Not particularly what he wanted to have at the beginning of the race, considering he had that 5 grid place penalty as well. But Podium Cheetah trying to slow down as much as he can so he is not exceeding the delta. The timings on the left hand side are a bit messed up at the moment, as Podium Cheetah came into the pits on a set of the to put on a set of the inters. He's actually just picked up a drive through for speeding under the VSC. Not something he would have wanted, but I suppose consequences happen if that is, or if that was the case, as Plop has made his way into the pits, has now come out on the set of the intermediates as well. It says he's at the front of the field. It is lying. But look how close this little grid is here. MJ Coupe, despite getting wing damage on lap 1, he didn't actually come into the pits, and he's now battling with Mags. In towards the long right-hander. Is Mags going to maybe get an overtake done on the Red Bull? He's gone down the inside and he's actually gotten... He may potentially have the move done. I think MJ Coupe, he may have a bit of straight line speed in comparison, although he does slot in behind the Haas. But is he going to maybe try and reattempt a move in towards the hairpin? Does he break late in towards it? No, he does not. Mags is now up into P3, and these guys on the intermediates are catching at an absolute exponential rate. BioFreak is remaining sort of 4 seconds behind all of these guys. I don't know if it is intermediates weather. It's looking like it is, but half the grid is still out on the slick tyres. Half the grid have changed to inters. So I don't know what is going on, as Plop has actually DNF'd in a race, and we've got a full course safety car this time, as Dre has overtaken Rashid. In fact, Rashid has gone back into the pits. So is he going on a set of dries? But already into lap 3, and we have got a full course safety car as BioFreak picking up a drive through for speeding under the safety car. Him and Podium Cheetah are going to need to serve those after the safety car has ended. But look at the 2 Renaults already 10 seconds up the road from everybody else. As in fact, Typhoon has actually spun under the safety car at the exit of turn 4. Oh dear, not something I think the Alfa Romeo would have wanted, but now Biofreak is unfortunately stuck behind him. However, these guys, well, in fact, they're all going to need to still come into the pits, and I don't think this is what Biofreak would have wanted, because especially with Typhoon having that spin, he's going to probably come into the pits at the end of this lap, but the two Renaults are more than likely going to come into the pits. Mag's probably going to come into the pits. MJ Coupe, more than likely going to come into the pits, and same with Matty. Of course, Biofreak is going to jump those guys when they do come into the pits. But with him being stuck behind Typhoon, I don't know if he's going to come out ahead of the two Renaults if they do decide to make a pit stop. Let's have a look. So sticking on board with it, Scope into the pits. Skyzy is actually staying out. So the Frenchman is carrying on a set of the slicks. Mags also carries on, and so does Matty behind him. MJ Coupe does the smart thing and makes his way into the pits to get that wing damage repaired, but Typhoon also coming into the pits to get that wing damage repaired on him as well. Biofreak coming into the pits. I'm not too sure what for. Does Dre? No, Dre does stay out. Yoss also stays out, so I wonder what tyres has Biofreak gone on? He's gone. He's tried to serve his drive-through. I know what he's done. He's unfortunately tried to serve his drive-through, but he couldn't do it under the safety car. But Typhoon, also another one that's decided to slot on a set of the intermediate tyres. MJ Coupe also putting on a set of intermediates, I've also just realised. So only 5 guys at the moment, and I'm not talking about the restaurant, but only 5 guys at the moment on a set of slick tyres. Skyzy, from the back of the grid, is now somehow leading. Scope actually came into the pits and chuck on a set of the medium compounded tyres. So maybe he can think it's either going to go to the end of the race, or he could pit a bit later on and chuck on another set of medium tyres, so then go to the end of the race. But it's looking very 50-50 at the moment for guys either going on a set of the inters or going on a set of slick tyres. As I said, the top 5 are all on a slick set of tyres, so I'm kind of intrigued to see how it's going to be towards the end of the race. But safety car not going to be in this lap. It only sort of came out the last lap anyway, so we'll probably see it again for another 1 to 2 laps, just whilst we wait for everybody in the field to just catch up to the back of it. But is anyone going to maybe try and go into the pits from now? Mags in, Matty in, Farnham stays out, Scope stays out. So we've only got 3 contenders left on a set of slicks, whether all of these hashes will also be the same. We will never, well, we'll know in approximately 5 seconds. As in fact, Mags, he's going on a set of mediums, but he's serving his 5-second stop go under the safety car. I didn't think you could serve penalties under the safety car conditions, but that's going to hold Matty up a massive amount, and Matty's now going to move to the back of the grid. Mags, does he jump out ahead of Rashid? No, he doesn't. So the 2 Hasses are going to be behind all of the guys on the intermediates, and in fact the 2 Hasses have actually come out on a set of the medium tyres, interestingly enough. So I don't know whether it is slick weather, I don't know whether it's intermediate weather. It's looking like it's a mix of both. I think from what I was seeing before, I believe it was actually still slick weather. I think we have got another lap off the safety car just due to Matty not being sort of close enough. Typhoon, interestingly enough, comes into the pits, but I don't know whether he's going to be going on a set of inters, another set of inters, or if he's going to go on dry tyres. I'll keep an eye out. So Typhoon's gone on another set of intermediates. We are only on lap 6 of 28 around the Shanghai International Circuit. Scope making already one pit stop in comparison to Skyzy and Farnham up ahead of them. They are going to need to still make a stop. So is Scope, to be fair, as the safety car is restarting this lap. So Skyzy will go on board with him as he will be leading the restart of the safety car, as Typhoon, in fact, hasn't actually even caught up to the back of this pack. Skyzy just sort of weaving down ever so slightly on the straights. Farnham, I think, is wanting to try and keep on his tail as much as possible to make sure that Skyzy doesn't get away. Of course, Skyzy already on 5 lap old soft tyres. Those softs are not going to last much longer come towards the end of the race, as I believe Skyzy will more than likely try and go after this final corner. In fact, he goes just before the final corner. Skyzy now on that restart, and you can see Scope has a little bit of a wobble at the end of that, and now Podium Cheetah, is he going to be able to try and maybe take advantage of that? He is only 2 tenths behind, but I don't think he is close enough to getting any sort of move done. But Skyzy already 1 second lead off of that restart. Now Podium Cheetah on the set of the intermediates. I think this is where it's going to prove whether it is Inters weather or whether it is still Slicks weather. Skyzy already nearly 2 seconds up ahead, as Podium Cheetah now trying to go around the outside of Scope in towards turn 4. Is he going to be able to get any sort of move done? Podium does dive it down the inside, about 3 winding towards turn 4. No sort of move done. And in fact, actually, Podium Cheetah does get past the Alfa Romeo of Farnham. And now Farnham losing out another place to Dre. He's also just lost out another place to Yoss. So Farnham, in the space of 2 corners, unfortunately losing out 3 places, makes that 4 in 3 corners. So I think this is proving it is intermediate weather, as Podium Cheetah is all over the back of the Renault of Scope. Skyzy just trying to build up as much of a lead as he possibly can already, to nearly 3 seconds up ahead of all of these guys. Scope, I think, is just doing the best job he possibly can of holding everybody up behind him. So we'll keep our eye out on it. Although, looking at, I don't know if it's still intermediate weather or if it's actually dry weather, because the 2 Renaults are still going relatively quick, but the intermediate lads are keeping up with them. Although saying that, Podium Sheet is now already out of a second from DRS. Whether it will be activated or not is a different story after 3 laps. Skyzy doesn't opt to come in, however. Scope not opting to come in either. Podium Cheetah does go in though, as the 2 Red Bulls just going very wide at the final corner. More than likely would have just given them a warning. But do those guys go on like a new on like a dry tire set, or are they going or keeping on intermediates? In fact, they're just serving their drive-throughs. That's my mistake. So Podium Cheater just managing to serve his drive-through. Biofreak needs to do the same within the next couple of laps, otherwise he will get disqualified from the race. We're going to go on board actually with the two Red Bulls because MJ Coupe is looking all over the back of Jos, coming up towards, well, coming up towards Sector 3. Jos dropping back already 1 and a bit seconds from Dre. I don't think this is where Jos would want to be. Oh, Biofreak having a massive moment out of the long right-hander is costed him almost, well, it's almost costed him about 1.5 to 2 seconds. He's now behind from the two Red Bulls, and that's allowing Farnham to sort of keep up in tabs with him, but Mag's also very close to the back of the Alfa Romeo. Just taking a little peek in towards the hairpin, but not close enough to get any sort of move done. However, Typhoon is sort of there or thereabouts with all of these guys, as DRS is enabled, so that does show it is not intermediates weather. As does anyone going into the pits due to that. Biofreak does go into the pits. He has got a drive through to serve, so he is more than likely just going to be serving that. Any of the other guys actually maybe going into the pits, especially if DRS was enabled. Podium Cheetah does not. Rashid stays out as well, so maybe they're thinking it could just go to intermediate weather, and that's why they're staying on it for now. Although MJ Coupe has a massive moment, almost ran into the back of his teammate, and because of that, he has a massive moment out of turn 2, and that has costed him an extortionate amount of time. He's now 2 seconds behind his teammate in comparison to when he was about 2 tenths just behind him before that had happened. But another team battle that looks like is going on is Typhoon and Farnham, as Typhoon swooping around the outside. I think Farnham just sort of let him go at that stage. But Typhoon now into P7 and maybe, just maybe, trying to catch up to the back of Mags. As this battle for P2, Dre is keeping up with Scope. Even though DRS is enabled, Dre just looks like he's a little bit quicker than what Scope actually is on the set of the mediums. And Dre does have DRS in comparison to the Swedish of Scope up ahead of him, as Matty and Farnham have also just traded places down the DRS straight before. I think Matty even had any sort of DRS in comparison to the Alfa Romeo. But not close enough at all for Dre, as he is still just behind Scope with that DRS. Skyzy has now made his way into the pits. He's going to be maybe trying to take a set of the mediums or the hards to the end of the race. I believe it was really just going to be the set of the hards. Yeah. So Skyzy, it could be a bit of a bold strategy. It depends if the ring gets heavier. If the ring gets heavier, his strategy out the window. If it gets lighter, he could be well within a very good shot of winning this race. However, Scope is another one to look out for because he's on the set of the medium tyres at the moment. And with him being on those mediums, he could be well within coming to take the win of the race, because he's going to go maybe on another set of the mediums towards the end of the race, whereas Skyzy is on a set of the hards. So softer tyres with less laps or less wear on them as well. I think it's a bit of a no-brainer, but again, it could all change. It can all change. So now MJ's actually caught up to the back of Jos, tries maybe a bit of a dive in towards the second S section of the track, or should I say the chicane, before the long back straight, which has costed him a lot of time. Probably should have just waited for the long DRS straight, which is up here now, and of course he's going to have DRS, but I'm a bit interested, especially with it raining and these guys being on the intermediate tyres, whether when they come in, are they going to maybe come back into the pits and go on a slick set of tyres, or Are they going to stay on a set of inters to the end of the race, or are they going to need to pit again? It's a bit hit and miss at the moment. But Jos going a little bit wide out of the first corner. MJ's just, it's allowed MJ to catch right up to the back of him. Has a little bit of a lock up in towards turn 2. And we'll stick on board with the Red Bull man, as he is a massive bit of oversteers where he almost lost it last lap. Now in this lap, he manages it a bit better than what he did previously. However, it's still looking a bit shaky, but a little bit of a lock up in towards turn 4. Jos doing a good job of just keeping up ahead as well in P3 at the moment. As I said, if it continues like this and the guys on the set of the intermediates are doing what they're doing at the moment, it's looking like it's going to be a good points result for the 2 Red Bulls. Oh, MJ, massive bit of oversteer. Almost losing it again. He's just been saving the car left, right and centre. DRS is now wide open for the back Red Bull. Maybe attacking his teammate in towards the hairpin. MJ does think better of it. Backs off and just stays behind Jos for now, as Dre is still keeping in tabs with Scope. But it's looking like Scope's just looking a bit quicker than what all the other guys are, as MJ just running a little bit wide out of the final corner. Keeping it very close together with all of these guys, as Jos still did a very good job of just keeping up ahead of MJ for now, as Matty and Typhoon just going back and forth as Farnham has actually made his way into the pits on 10 lap old medium tyres. In fact, I'm going to go on board with this battle here between Typhoon and Matty, as Typhoon does manage to get past the Haas of Matty into P6. And again, this could be another good points result for the Alfa Romeos. I think they've only, like I said earlier, I think they're running on just a 1 point at the moment, so this could pick up for them. Again, we'll have to wait and see. At the moment though, our unfortunate non-scorers are going to be Farnham and Rashid, and of course Blow Up, who unfortunately DNF'd at the beginning of the race, or in the second lap of the race, shall I say. However, Scope doing well just to maintain that lead of the race. Of course, as I said, he's going to need to come in once again, and I'm assuming the guys on the set of the intermediates are more than likely going to need to make another pit stop as well. Skyzy, if it doesn't start hammering it down, I think this is really where he could prevail through all of this and potentially take another win and move up ahead of Scope, or tie it with Scope in the Drivers' Championship, depending on if Scope does pick up the fastest lap of the race. As you can see, Matty now, DRS wide open, going around the outside of Typhoon in towards the hairpin. Typhoon, I think, trying to fight ever so slightly, but Matty does shut the door. MJ Coupe does pick himself up a 3-second time penalty. He has dropped back quite a bit from Jos, so Jos 3 seconds now down the road from Dre, and we'll see if he is able to maybe attempt a move on any of those guys up ahead. But Typhoon, there's no possible way of him being able to get past. As Podium Cheetah makes his way into the pits on a 9-lap old intermediate, so this is maybe where the change is coming for him on a set of inters. So he's maybe going on a new set of intermediate tyres. In fact, he's gone on a set of the hards, interestingly enough. But Dre, like I said up front, he's still keeping tabs with Scope. It's literally, the difference is sort of hovering around 8 to 9 tenths. Whether that means it is intermediates, or whether it means that Scope is just making a few mistakes. gain? Honestly, I'm not too sure. At the moment, however, Scope is the one that is still leading. We are on lap 13 of 28, about to go on to lap 14 of 28. Scope's still having the lead of the race at the moment with Dre. Putting a little bit of pressure of him from behind. He is in P2. Yoss is sitting pretty in P3 with MJ in P4 just behind him, about 1.5 seconds. Mags sitting in P5 with about 9 seconds behind him. In 6th is Matty on your screen, who runs very wide at the exit of the hairpin, with Typhoon sitting in P7, about 7 tenths behind Matty, so closest battle that is out on track at the moment. Skyzy in 8th, he has caught up to the back, or he's starting to catch up to the back of these guys, and Skyzy is just going to want to try and get through ASAP to avoid any sort of issues going forward. In P9 is Biofreak, who did come in and sort his drive-through penalty out, and has actually picked himself up a 3-second time penalty. In P10 you have got Rashid, who is on 10 lap old intermediates and more likely going to come in very soon and chuck on another set of either inters or maybe just chuck on some new tyres and see if he can take those to the end of the race. Of course, in P11, you've also got Farnham, who made his way, who actually came into the pits on the slicks and chucked on inters, and you got Podium Cheetah, who made his way into the pits on inters and chucked on slicks. So we'll see which one's a better strategy going forward. At the moment, it's looking like Farnham's one is a bit better. So it means obviously, of course, the intermediate tyres are going to be better than what the slicks are, but at the moment it's very even. It is very even. As we've still got this battle going on for P6 Typhoon versus Matty. We shall see who comes out on top. But no sort of way for Typhoon to get past Matty as of yet. Rashid, 6 tenths now behind Biofreak. Biofreak, of course, had to make that pit stop. Well, I say pit stop, had to make that drive through to make sure he did not get disqualified in the race. Of course, unfortunate for him speeding under safety car, but I suppose rules are rules, and if you break them, you get consequences, which of course is exactly what happened over to Biofreak, as he's actually made his way into the pits once again. Is he going on his drive set of tyres? Because it looks like the rain is starting to ease up a little bit. Here we go, Biofreak in the pits. Goes on. He actually goes on slick, so he's gone on a fresh set of medium tyres. So maybe this is just where it starts for him, ahead of Farnham. It's very close once again between the two Red Bulls. I'm going to go on board with those guys as they are very close together with each other. We'll see if they do trade places, just as I said, on board with MJ Coupe. Of course, the RS still enabled for now. And I don't know if there's anything that Yoss is going to be able to do as MJ Coupe. DRS now wide open, straight down the inside, already on the Dutchman. I think he's already passed him. Yeah, easy overtake. I think you are going to see all night. And that is now MJ into P3, but has a bit of a moment, goes a bit too deep in towards the hairpin. I thought Yoss was maybe going to get him back again, but nope, has to remain behind him, does the Dutchman of Yoss. In fact, Yoss goes into the pits, and so does Dre. There are yellows, and it is Biofreak having a spin at the double left-handers. So what was looking so promising for the AlphaTauri at the beginning of the race is now looking like an absolute disaster. And as you can see, Skyzy just breezing past those other guys that have made their way into the pits. Dre, in fact, goes on a fresh set of intermediate tyres and comes out 2 seconds behind Skyzy. So, if I'm not mistaken, Dre, I think, is net P3 at the moment, depending on where Mags is going to come out after his pit stop, or depending on where MJ Coop's going to come out after his pit stop, because he was only just behind Jos. In fact, only just ahead of Jos, but I think where Jos is only, it was 5 seconds behind. I feel like Dre and Skyzy are going to jump those two. Oh, although MJ, yeah, massive moment coming out of the beginning of Sector 3, the chicane, shall I say. Goes very wide into the left-hander, and very wide out of the long right-hander as well. And I think this is all just allowing everyone behind him just to pick up the pace. And I'm more than likely going to jump in one of the pit stop stages. I even see maybe Jos jumping in as well, once MJ has made his way into the pit stop, assuming it's going to be this lap. In fact, no, he actually stays out once again, interestingly enough. But let's go on board with the battle here. 4P6 as Dre still keeping tabs to the back of Skyzy. Skyzy on 6-lap old hard tyres. I thought it was probably going to be a very good strategy for him as the two Hasses have actually just changed positions, and MJ Coop is round at the exit of turn 4. And that's going to allow all of those guys that are behind him just to make their way up, as Skyzy getting past Mags as well. So not only Matty, but Skyzy as well. Does Dre maybe go past him? No, he doesn't. Although he's still side by side with him, and Dre, beautiful move down the inside on the left-hander, around the outside on the right-hander, gets that move done. Keeps tabs with Skyzy, although he has dropped out that 1 second margin, but I'm sure Dre will be able to make it up. He made up about 2 seconds from being behind Skyzy. So keep our eye out on that one, but Skyzy very close to the back of Matty as well. There are yellows in Sector 3. Who's that dropping down? That is actually MJ Coop. He's now dropped behind, or he's about to drop behind his teammate, and he has. Has Coop gotten a puncture? He does. Front left, you can see it, I believe. We go to point with view. Yeah, it's front left. Has a puncture. Very unfortunate, especially in the wet weather as well. It's hard to control a puncture just in the dry weather. So in the wets, it's even harder, and you can see it. Look at it. Very unfortunate for MJ, as Skyzy getting that move done on Matty. Although Matty now trying to come back at the Frenchman, trying to go maybe around the outside in towards turn 1, but Matty does think better of it. It just breaks hard, so he doesn't go in contention and stays behind Skyzy. As I said, Scope, Matty, Mags, all are going to need to make another pit stop, because I don't think they'll be able to make these tyres towards the end. But Scope, look at the advantage he's got over Skyzy. 23.6, maybe even nearly 24 seconds up ahead of the Frenchman, as Matty goes a bit deep in towards turn 4, maybe allowing Dre to get some sort of move done. It does not. So Dre going to be furious. He has to stay behind the Haas at the moment, although maybe trying to go around the outside and towards the inside in towards the double left-hander. A little bit of contact between the pair of them, as Matty goes very wide out of the exit, almost impeding his teammate. Has tried to get out of the way as best as he possibly could, and now both of the Hasses are both side by side, but Dre getting that move done on Mags. As I said, I think, sorry, on Matty. I think Matty just had a little bit of a moment, costed that, and now Jos trying to go down the inside of him in towards the long right-hander as well. He's actually gotten that move done on Mags. Mags really struggling on these set of medium tyres. I'm hoping he doesn't have the same thing as what happened to MJ and getting himself a puncture, as Jos now going down the inside of Matty on the DRS straight, getting that move done already, as you can see, before the break-ins even come up. I said the last one was the easiest move you're going to see all night. This was definitely the easier one, as in fact Matty almost going straight into the back of Jos, had to sort of go veer off towards the left, and now well, he lost the place to his teammate, but Mags into the pits, although goes very wide at the pit exit, as well as Jos. Fastest lap of the race so far, so maybe, just maybe, it is intermediate weather. And we're not seeing it at the moment. But Dre, I think we are actually starting to see it as Dre, very close to the back of Skyzy. And look at how close he is. He's absolutely eyeing up, trying to get a move done on the Frenchman. As he's trying to go down the inside and towards turn 4. He's actually dove it down the inside, Skyzy. I don't think there's anything he's going to be able to do, as Dre already in front and getting that move done on the Frenchman. Dre is now into P2 and what could potentially be the net lead of the race. But of course, Scope still needing to make that final pit stop. And we'll wait and see if he actually comes up ahead of these two battling here. Even Jos as well. Look how much Jos is starting to catch up to him. In fact, Dre dropping Skyzy by almost a second. I think this proves that it is actually intermediate weather in comparison to being dry weather, as Biofreak spinning at the end of turn 1, beginning of turn 2. And again, another victim that's fallen to the dry tyres. So we'll see. Scope has actually, I was about to say, is he coming in coming in this lap? He has made his way in. We'll keep our eye out on and see what he is going to be doing. He's gone on the set of the intermediate, so you can see that the intermediates are definitely quicker. Is Dre going to come out ahead of Scope? Scope now out of the pits. Dre has taken the race lead, and could Dre, if he can take this into to the end, is he going to be able to hold up the two Renaults and take the first win other than the two Renaults of in Invictus? As Dre does stay out ahead of Scope for now. Skyzy, he is dropping time. Absolute extortionate time. And now Jos is all over the back of him as well, as Matty comes into the pits, chucks on a fresh set of intermediate tyres. In fact, I've only just realised and say it was Mags. But Dre still doing a very good job of keeping up ahead of these guys, keeping up ahead of the two Renaults especially. Of course, Jos doing well to keep up to the back of Skyzy, and we could be seeing a completely different podium to what we normally see, kind of sort of F1-esque, resembling what happened in Monza. But Dre opening his overtake, making sure Scope hasn't got any ammo to try and overtake him, as Jos now trying to go down, I believe, the inside, the outside of Skyzy, getting that move done already, as Biofreak retiring into the pits, unfortunately. But Jos is now in P3. And Skyzy, he's got a bit of work cut out for him. He's still on a set of the hards, and it's definitely looking like the intermediates are quicker, despite there still being DRS. A Scope DRS now wide open on Dre, as Dre does set the fastest lap of the race. But look how close the Swedish man is to the back of Dre. Meanwhile, I'm just seeing on the minimap as well, there is a bit of a battle that's going on here for P5, as Farnham is just staying up ahead of Typhoon and Matty. Matty trying to maybe go around the outside of all of these guys, going up ahead of Typhoon, and maybe, just maybe, trying to get up ahead of Farnham, but not close enough to get any sort of move done. Matty, though, a very good move around the outside of turn 1 into against Typhoon. And we've got a bit of an Alfa Romeo versus Haas battle going on here, as MJ Coupe just moves up ahead of Podium Cheetah for P10, as Mags and Typhoon now battling. Very late braking for Mags, which is allowing Typhoon to maybe just sweep back past him, but they're still both side by side, and Mags getting a much better traction out of turn 4 in comparison. And now the two Hasses are sort of sandwiched in between the two Alfa Romeos, as MJ making his way past Rashid, as we're about to have a battle for the lead. Scope Scope is now into the lead of the race. And Dre, I don't think there's anything he could do with the RS. There's literally nothing that you can do, especially on the long straight that there is. As there you go, that just proves how much quicker the intermediates are in comparison to dry tyres. I think Skyzy, as I said, I think he did get the strategy wrong. He's on a set of hards. He's 27 seconds up ahead of Farnham, but it's not close enough. As we have just seen a bit of a change go on again, it's the Haas versus Alfa Romeo. Matt getting that move done on Farnham in toward, well, before turn one's even occurred. And look at how much MJ has already made up ahead of Podium Cheetah and Rashid. You can already see it. That's how much quicker the intermediates are in comparison to dry tyres. Of course, I don't think Matty's going to catch up to Skyzy with 6 laps left to go of this Grand Prix, but it still proves how much quicker the intermediates are in comparison to these dry tyres. Mags only 2 tenths behind Farnham. And look at that, Scope already building up that 2-second gap. So I think Scope, unless he makes a major mistake, it looks as if the Swedish man is going to take his 2nd win of the season and draw it up with Skyzy, but he will remain in the championship lead. And with Skyzy only being down in P4, it's going to help him massively in the championship. And yeah, that Scope just literally taking almost a second out of that last lap. It is very light rain right now, although it looks like the rain is starting to come down a little bit harder actually. I thought it was just going to be light rain, but you can see Farnham now having to defend from Mags. Farnham could not defend from him whatsoever, and now he's down into P7. Mags up into P6, Matty P5. If I'm not mistaken, are these not the first set of points for the Haas drivers? I'll have to have a double check. But, oh wait, no, it's the racing points. I haven't got any points. My mistake, my mistake. I will just see how many points that they are on, however. But looking at it, it's looking like the grid is pretty much sort of spread out. Skyzy now dropped to 3.5 seconds behind Yos. Again, as I said, unless there's any sort of major incident, I think this is really how the grid is just going to shape up to be. Everyone's sort of now spread out from everybody. So do bear with me. I'm just trying to get the standings up for you guys once again. So here you go. So if Scope does take the win, he will then go up onto 56 points, but he has the fastest lap at the moment as well. So he'll go on at 57 points. So maybe it would be smart for Skyzy to come in, chuck on a set of intermediates, go for a fastest lap. So at least then he manages to collar that last point, because again, with it being 15 to 12 for first and second, it's only 3 points difference. If he gets the fastest lap, that's 2 points difference, which can all that's all he may need in the championship, as Typhoon and Farnham do decide to trade places. Let's have a look. So the Haas guys are on 16, the Alfa Romeos are on 17, and the Mercedes are on 18. Well, at the moment, the Mercedes is only picking up the 1 point. The Alfa Romeos are picking up 7, and the Haas are picking up 11 points. So that's going to put the Haas up ahead of the Alphas and the Mercedes. The Red Bulls, however, are also going to be jumping up quite a bit, because they're picking up, what, 10 and 2, so 12 points altogether. That's actually, I was about to say, they could jump up ahead of the AlphaTauris, but looking at it, Dre is still sitting in P2 at the moment. He's going to be getting 12 points. So they'll be on the exact same amount of points. So the AlphaTauris, in fact, the AlphaTauris are going to jump up ahead of the Ferraris. And so will the Red Bulls, because Rashid is the only one outside, is the only Ferrari in this race, and he is unfortunately outside of the points. But we have got 4 laps left to go of this Grand Prix, and MJ has brought himself right back into it as Farnham goes very wide at the beginning of Sector 3. But MJ Coupe now only 3 tenths in behind Typhoon. Is MJ going to be able to look and get any sort of moves done on the Alfa Romeo? DRS is now going to be wide open for him, already getting that move done. I don't think there's much that Typhoon can do. Despite MJ not having any ERS, it's not going to stop him from getting past, especially with that DRS. So there you go, MJ getting a nice easy move done on Typhoon. I don't know about the penalty situation because there's still quite a few battles that are going on. I don't tend to check the penalties, but at the moment, if I'm not mistaken, I think the top 3 are going to remain how they are, or top 4 are going to remain how they are, shall I say. Anyone from 5th downwards, I'm not too sure. I did see Podium Cheater pick up a 3-second time penalty, and I'm pretty sure he may have picked another one up previously, but again, I'm not too sure. Again, I just don't know. I just don't know. But, oh, MJ drifting it around turn 3. Keeping it stylish. Sorry, turn 2. Keeping it nice and stylish. But yeah, look at the gaps in all of these. Very sort of spread out from everybody. As Typhoon picks himself up a 3-second time penalty, that's not going to be good for the Alfa Romeos. As I know he was sort of only 2 seconds behind MJ, but it could be the case that MJ does have a 3-second time penalty that we don't know about, and Typhoon could have jumped him. But of course now, with Typhoon picking up that penalty, we never know. Well, we will know up at the end of the race, but at the moment we will never know. But MJ is doing an absolute class of a drive now, making his way back up the grid. He's only 8 tenths behind Mags, and then he's got another 2 seconds up the road to the other Haas driver with 3 laps left to go. MJ could still be on for P5. And as you can see, I think Max made a little bit of a mistake, so MJ now very close to the back of the Haas. Does take a little bit of a later apex than what Max has done as well. And it looks like MJ got a bit better traction than what Max has done, but he does maintain that position for now. However, MJ is still sitting all over the back of Mags. And actually trying to sweep it around the outside of the the right-hander of the S's. And has already gotten that move done, has the Brit in the Red Bull. So, MJ, very good move from him. 3 seconds down the road, having to go a bit defensive on the Haas of Mags, but massive lock-up for him as well, unfortunately. But I suppose that is the way it goes. And MJ now only 3 seconds still behind the other Haas driver. We've now only got 2 laps left to go of the race. Scope still maintaining the lead of the race and doing a very good job of it. Look how much MJ has just dropped Mags. He's almost already without a second out of that DRS, and he already is. As Rashid and Farnham have just traded places, so Rashid is now into the top, into top 10. So he will receive a point Scope, by the way, still I believe is the one with the fastest lap. So he is still managing to maintain the full blowout, shall I say, because he qualified on pole. Pretty much led every single lap of the race. Other than, of course, when he came out of the pits when Dre was in front of him. And then fastest lap. MJ's just having a massive lock up in towards turn 4, but he's already dropped that gap by a second to Matty. As I said, we've got 2 laps left of the race to go. And it's looking like MJ could potentially be catching up to him. And whether he'll be able to get a move done towards the end of the race. Again, we will wait and see, but Scope is now on the final lap of the race. And Dre just making his way up towards the line to start his final lap as well. Been a bit of a quiet race, I must admit. However, it's been, towards the beginning, it was very, very tight, very close between everyone. I think it was where the first safety car came out, people were going for sort of like mixed strategies. It's just been sort of very, what's the word? Sort of distant gaps between everybody. But there has still been some great racing nonetheless. And speaking of great racing, I'm going to sit on board with a man that has actually had an absolutely amazing race, as I said. Qualified on pole, has pretty much led nearly every single lap of the race other than when he came into the pits. Or came out of the pits, sorry, on a fresh set of intermediate tyres. And of course under that safety car as well, where he decided to make the stop first. And look at where it has brought him to. He is sitting in P1 7 seconds up ahead of Dre. And nearly 14 seconds up ahead of Jos. But Scope, he's only got another 3 more corners to go. And he's just coming around one of them now. Of course, along with the longest straight that I think people say is in the calendar. A Scope, as I said, driven an absolutely exceptional race throughout. Hasn't made any sort of error, any sort of mistake. Has kept it cool, calm and composed. And now he is about to take the win around Shanghai. Making his way around the final corner is the Swedish man. Makes his way up towards the line. Scope will take round 4 of the Invictus Racing League on PC around the Shanghai International Circuit. Dre will come home to finish in P2, with Jos picking up his first podium as well, coming home to finish in P3. Skyzy, it looked like it was going to be a good strategy at first, but unfortunately just did not work out for the Frenchman. Was hoping that it was going to rain a bit less, but he does take P4, and as I said, 27 seconds up ahead of Matty. MJ unfortunately just doesn't look as if he was able to catch up to Matty. So Matty making his way around the penultimate corner and now making his way up towards the final corner. There's nothing that MJ can do unless Matty makes a huge mistake out of this final corner. He does not. Matty does finish in P5. However, if there's any penalties, MJ actually had the most amount of penalties. Does Max jump him, however? Max does jump him by 3/10. So Typhoon crosses the line. MJ drops down to P7 after all of that for him. It was very unlucky. It was a very good comeback drive, but finishing in P7. Potent Cheater now across the line. Does go down into P10. Rashid jumps up into P9, so he managed to gain 2 positions in the closing stages of the Grand Prix. As said, Potent Cheater down in P10, which then just leaves Farnham, the final runner, as he managed to pick up the fastest lap from Scope. Let's keep our eye on it as Farnham up to the line. No, he does not. So Scope gets the full sweep done. The win, the pole, the fastest lap, all done by him. As Skyzy picking up the driver of the day, of course, obviously starting down in P12 into P4 in the end. But I am going to be honest, I'm going to give my vote over to Scope because he's had an absolute amazing race. He did not have a single fault in that race, and he's just managed to keep it clean throughout. And again, as I said, done an absolute exceptional job of keeping up ahead of all of those guys. Comes in, sits on another set of sits on the first set of intermediates, absolutely blitzed it and won it by 7 seconds ahead of Dre. Admittedly, Dre, Jos, very good results for the pair of them. As I said, I think it's the first time that the both of those have been on the podium. I think actually it might be the second time that Dre's been on the podium, but he actually moves up a step this time. But there are your final classifications for Invictus for the Chinese Grand Prix. As I said, Scope taking the win, the fastest lap, and the pole position. The full sweep for him, Dre finishing in P2 with Jos in third. Skyzy does finish in P4 with Matty in fifth. Mags finishing in P6 with Coop in seventh. Typhoon in eighth. Rashid in ninth. Podium Cheater taking the final point in P10. Farnham unfortunately just missing out in P11. And you got, of course, our non-finishers of Biofreak and Plow Up. But everybody, that has been round 4. Of course, that has been my first stream for Invictus. I hope you guys all did enjoy the first stream with myself and Invictus. Of course, we've got plenty more to come in the coming rounds of the season. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I will catch you guys next week for round 5 around Abu Dhabi.